In this video, I'm going to show you a different use for the EQ3 1-band or 7-band plugins, one that has very little to do with actual EQ. Here I have these two kick tracks, right? Kick in and kick out. And what this means is that there were two microphones on the kick drum, one inside the kick drum, pointed at the beater head from the inside, and then the kick out mic, which, it could have been kind of where the drummer's foot is. Probably not, but it could have been picking up the other side of that beater head, or it could have been outside the kick drum head, which would have put it like, a foot or a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet away from the kick in mic, depending on how they're positioned. And what happens when you have two mics picking up the same sound source, like a kick drum in this case, is that the sounds will get to those mics at slightly different times, and the waves will be out of phase, and there will be phase cancellation, meaning that from a practical perspective, your sound is weak and it can't really get as strong as it should be. And so one of the ways to help fix that is by reversing the phase of one of the tracks. When you reverse the phase, then when the wave goes up, it goes down instead. When the wave goes down, it goes up instead. And by inverting the phase on one of the tracks, you can more closely align the two tracks in time. And so instead of canceling each other out, they will reinforce one another and make your, in this case, kick much more powerful. So let's listen to this first without the phase flipped. And so you can hear the kick drum, and you might not notice that there's anything wrong with it. It's like, oh, okay, it's a kick drum. It's not like the best kick drum, but it's like, okay. If I flip the phase, listen to it now. There's a whole other part of the sound that's coming out that has more body and weight to it. I'll go back and forth. That tone of the kick really comes out when I flip the phase. Other times when you may need to flip the phase of a track is like on snare top and snare bottom, because those mics will be pointing 180 degrees apart, and so they will be naturally inverted. And so when you invert the phase of one of those mics, it's going to put them in alignment. Also, between the snare drum mics and the overhead mics, because the overheads are also picking up the snare and the toms and stuff. But in particular, the snare mic is usually really close to the drum head, and the overheads are far away. And so you may have to flip the phase on those. You just need to listen, especially if you're doing different sessions in different rooms. If you're doing the same sessions with the same bands in the same rooms consistently, you'll get a better idea of what you need to do. But in general, just listen. And this phase reverse button is on EQ3 1-band. It's also on EQ3 7-band. It's right there above the input control. And it's on several other plugins, but I usually just throw an EQ3 1-band plugin on there if I need to flip the phase. So there's an extra tool in your toolbox using the EQ plugins.